pretty I could cry. Hey y'all, it's Thomasina. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I am greased up and ready to go. So if you guys are new here, I am in Morocco on a solo trip for my birthday, and it has been an amazing time. If you haven't already, go check out vlog number 1 for the first 3 days of my trip. Now we are into part 2, and I decided to break it up because I really wanted to do a separate video for this experience that I'm about to have. So I booked a 3-day Sahara Desert camp tour. So basically I am leaving Marrakech, which is where I'm staying for most of the trip. I'm pretty much going on a road trip to the Sahara Desert, and we are going to camp in tents for 1 night or 2 nights. I think it's for 1 night, I can't remember. But it's definitely gonna be an experience. We have a few stops along the way. So I wanted to do an entirely separate vlog documenting that trip and that experience. So that's what you guys have to look forward to in this video. It's currently around 6:30 a.m. The car is scheduled to pick me up between 7:15 and 7:45, which is kind of a major gap. So I'm just waiting for them to text me, which I actually just heard my phone go off, so that might be them. False alarm, it was not them, but I actually do need to hurry up just to make sure I have everything in place so that when they do get here, I can just run outside. But yeah, I'm packing up my things. I'm just taking a book bag with me. I'm not bringing my whole suitcase. The only thing that I'm worried about on this experience, you guys, is how cold it's gonna be. So it's not yet summer in Morocco, and their nights and early mornings can be pretty cold. And I just did not pack any bulky winter gear because obviously it's hard to fit all that in a carry-on, so I'm just gonna layer up and just wear random layers of clothes to keep me warm, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. Yesterday, and you guys would have seen this in the other vlog, but I did a hot air balloon experience, and we had to get there really early. It was still dark outside, so it was pretty chilly, but I was in a dress, and it wasn't I was cold, but it was bearable. So I'm hoping that if it's 50s, I can bear 50s, but if it's 40s and 30s, I'm in for a treat. But yeah, I'm about to gather my things and then head down to the car when they get here. So my driver picked me up around 7:30 in the morning and dropped me off to join the larger group on the bus. We drove about 3 hours with stops along the way, including a stop to take in the views of the Atlas Mountains. You guys, this is literally the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's so cold up here. It's so pretty I could cry. We drove about another 2 hours and stopped in the Kasbah at Ait Ben Adu for lunch and another guided tour. We were able to see where many movies and TV shows were filmed, like Game of Thrones and The Mummy. And after 6 hours on the road, I was separated from the group and dropped off at my hotel for the night. Hey guys, so it has been a really busy day. We've been on the road pretty much, we've been on the road all day since 6 o'clock this morning. And we've been making little pit stops along the way, as you can see in my behind the scenes footage. But I am finally at my hotel, and I was separated from the group. I did not know that I would be staying in a separate hotel, but when we were at our last stop, the driver let me know. He pulled me to the side and said, hey, I'm gonna drop you off first, and then I'm gonna drop off the rest of the group. And I was like, what? I'm staying by myself? I'm not sure why I am in a separate hotel. I did book a private room. I booked a private room in the hotel, and I booked a private tent for tomorrow. So that may be why. This hotel may be specifically for people who want private rooms, and then everyone else was willing to share rooms, so they went to the other hotel. Not really sure, but I'm here. It is absolutely beautiful, very quiet. I don't know if there are any other guests here, but it is very quiet, very tranquil. Tranquil, is that the word? But it's just what I needed. I am very, very tired. I feel very, very dirty, sandy, so I just want to wash my face, because I do see myself breaking out a little bit. I feel like when I'm around sand and dirt and stuff, my pores get clogged easily, and I start getting the little tiny bumps. It's the same thing that happened to me when I was in Dubai, but my skin looked way worse in Dubai. So yeah, I just want to clean off, put my pajamas on, and go to sleep, quite frankly. I'm so tired. Like, being on the road, even though I was sleeping for like most of the drive, I feel like when you sleep too much, that just makes you more tired. It's been a good trip. I love this group because you guys know I'm solo traveling, but this group specifically was so amazing. I met 2 women, well, actually 4 people in my group speak Spanish, and I haven't heard anyone in Morocco speaking Spanish. So when I heard them talking on the bus, I was like, oh my God, like I have to meet them. So I started talking to the 2 older women that spoke Spanish, and I was practicing my Spanish, and they said that I speak really well. And I connected with one of the ladies. She gave me her number, I gave her my number, and she lives in Switzerland, and so she invited me to come stay with her and visit. She has a daughter my age too, so awesome connections there. And I met a guy who is traveling. He's from South Korea, and there it is mandatory for adult men to enlist in the military. I did not know that, but he will be leaving for the military soon, so he's doing like his last round of travel before he's not able to travel for like 2 years because he'll be in the military. I just said military like 5 times. But yeah, he was also cool to me. I feel like this group that I'm with for this excursion is just a really solid group. So many different cultural backgrounds, so many different languages, and more English speakers in this group, so more visitors who speak English. And so because of that, our tour guides were speaking English, and I felt more included. Not that I'm against French or Arabic or anything like that. I love when they speak their native tongue, but it is nice that you do feel a sense of community around other English speakers or even the Spanish speakers, because I was probably speaking Spanish most of the trip as opposed to English. So yeah, I just feel really, really happy and satisfied with this group, and I'm looking forward to being with the same group tomorrow. I think he's gonna pick them up first tomorrow and then pick me up, and then we're gonna head out to the desert, and that will be an experience in itself. I'm super excited. So day 1 of my Moroccan desert camp experience almost complete, and so far so good. All right guys, so quick room tour because I am pleasantly surprised, but you enter, nice little full body mirror. Hey guys, this is the bathroom, another mirror, shower, toilet. Very nice. 2 king-size beds, or maybe these are queen size, I don't know. Then they have water, which is great because a lot of these places provide breakfast and dinner, but no drinks. You have to pay extra for the drinks, so this is great. And then I have a little balcony, the little table over here. Oh, beautiful, so beautiful. I'll be honest guys, I wasn't sure what to expect with these hotels because in the description when you book the excursion, they tell you to bring all of these things because they are unsure of what the accommodations will be like, meaning you may not have a bathroom, you may not have a shower, so just bring the things that you need to, I guess, make yourself comfortable. So I really had no idea what the accommodations are gonna be, but this is absolutely beautiful. I feel so safe, I feel so comfortable. I'm very, very happy. I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I am not someone who leaves reviews. Like, I tend to have great experiences, but sometimes I just don't bother leaving reviews. I've literally left a review for every excursion that I've done here so far because everything was just that good. Yeah, 10s across the board. It's been amazing. I had dinner and breakfast at the hotel, and we got back on the road to visit the Dades valleys and villages and have tea with the locals. We also visited the Todra Gorge, and after about 4 hours on the road, we made it to Merzouga, where we dropped our luggage off at the hotel and rode our camels an hour into the Sahara Desert to our camping site. I personally did not want to ride the camels due to my own beliefs on its ethicality, but it was the only option available at the time to avoid being separated from my group again. Despite that, it was literally the most breathtaking view I've ever seen in my life. I have not picked up my camera at all today, but it's been a long day, so this is probably going to be the craziest vlog, but we are almost to the desert camp. We stopped just to take photos and watch the sunset, but it is so beautiful, and it literally looks like a green screen. Like, it doesn't even look real. Feeling good. Looking a little crusty, but feeling good. Alright you guys, so I'm finally back in Marrakech from, I feel like I pronounced Marrakech weirdly, but I'm back at my Airbnb. Honestly, that was the longest 3 days of my life, but it was so much fun. I highly recommend it. I booked my 3-day desert camp tour through I Go Morocco, and I will link it in the description somewhere. But that's who I booked it through. Very cost effective, didn't break the bank. So if you guys are interested, click the link below. This is not sponsored, by the way. This was just my own research and like how I developed my itinerary. But it was so much fun. It was slam packed. I don't even remember all the footage that I captured over these last 3 days. It's kind of hard to be in the moment and vlog at the same time, so most of the video is just kind of like b-roll. I'm trying to finish this vlog before the lights turn out again, but for some reason the power keeps going out and I'm kind of irritated by it, so I'm just gonna go to sleep at this point. All in all, the desert camp tour was a great experience. If you read the reviews on I Go Morocco or Viator or Get Your Guide, any of these platforms that offer desert camp tours, a lot of the reviews complain that it is a lot of driving. From Marrakech to Dades or Marrakech to Merzouga, which is where I went, it is like between a 9 and an 11-hour drive depending on what the weather is like. Thankfully, we had clear skies most of the trip, so we didn't have to worry about the roads freezing over or any crazy snow or anything like that. But if the weather is bad, it can be an even longer trip. So before you even book it, just keep that in mind. It is a lot of driving. However, on the way to the desert, there are many stops to keep you like entertained and occupied along the way. There's a lot of things to see, a lot of people to talk to. You get different tour guides at each stop and really get to experience all that Morocco has to offer. Ooh, I think the power's about to go out again. So although it is a lot of driving, I definitely think it's worth it. Now, if you're someone who maybe gets car sick or has any other health conditions that prevent you from sitting for prolonged periods of time, this trip may not be for you because, again, even though we have stops along the way, you are still sitting in a van for a long period of time. And then once you get to the desert, you take an hour-long camel ride to the actual campsite, which is like in the middle of the desert. So that's another round of sitting that you may not be able to endure. So just keep that in mind. Think about your health conditions, think about your physical abilities to see if it is something that would be worth doing for you. Another thing to note, if you go between, I believe they say like October to December as like their winter, that's when it gets really, really cold. So I was thinking I was safe, but no, even through February, it is still really cold out there. I think it was like 40 degrees overnight, maybe between 35 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's really, really cold for me. So you take into account all of the wind, and once the sun goes down, you don't even have the warmth of the sun to protect you anymore. So it does get really, really cold. And they want you to only bring like a small bag of like overnight clothes. So it's hard to pack bulky winter items in like a book bag or purse. And so it's weird to dress warm for the day and then have like a coat and then have a coat for the night. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It does, depending on what season you go, what month you go, it does get really, really cold in the desert. And even though I was layered up and I thought that I would be good, I was still freezing. Like, I was so cold. But thankfully, in the camp that I stayed at, they gave us like 3 thick blankets on our bed, which I was surprised by. I didn't even think we were gonna get that, but they did give us 3 really thick blankets in our little tent area, so that helped a lot. But I was still really cold, so I ended up just sleeping in all of my clothes. Also, please note, you are camping. You know, it may look pretty on the outside, but in the end, you're still camping and there's only so much you can do as far as hygiene. So I literally did not shower for 2 days. Wait, no, that's a lie. It was just 1 day, actually. It was just 1 day. I'm lying on myself. I'm not disgusting, I'm lying on myself. So we stayed at a hotel before getting to the camp, and so my hotel surprisingly did have a shower there. I wasn't sure if it would have a shower just because in the description it does tell you that cleaning, I forget the verbiage, but it does tell you that like access to toilets and showers may be slim, so just pack accordingly. So I was expecting to not have a shower for like 2 or 3 days, but thankfully when I got to Dares and stayed in my hotel, it did have a nice shower, so I did shower there. But once getting to the camp, I did not shower that day and couldn't shower until I got back to Marrakech. So keep that in mind. Also, make sure you bring, your booty wipes, your spray, your deodorant, everything that will keep you as fresh as you can be for those 2 to 3 days, because you don't really know what the shower conditions will be like depending on who you book through and where you're staying. Oh yeah, the camel ride. I've done a camel ride before. I did a camel ride when I was in Qatar, and I said that I would never do it again. Personally, I am not a fan of like horseback riding, camel riding, riding any kind of animals. I understand that people utilize animals really for their livelihood, for example, farmers. But me personally, I feel really bad. I don't want to say exploiting animals, but for lack of a better term, exploiting animals in that way. But with the transportation from the desert entryway to the middle of the desert where the desert camp was, my only option at the time was to take a camel. So I did do the hour-long camel ride, which is beautiful, by the way. It is beautiful. So if you're physically able to do it, highly recommend. But just know your butt will probably be hurting when you get off. If you go during a month where it is cold, it is gonna be windy. So bring your shades, bring a hat, and bring something to like cover your face with. You know how they wear the scarf. I forget the specific term for it, which is awful because I just heard it. But you just want something that will cover your dome piece because it does get really windy. Another thing that you'll see a lot of people complaining about in the review section of a lot of these desert camp tours is that the tour guides intentionally make stops at restaurants and cafes that have higher prices, and you are forced to eat there as opposed to eating at some other local restaurant that may have slightly lower prices. Honestly, you guys, these high prices that they mention in these reviews are not even high prices. We're talking $10 as opposed to maybe $6 or $7. It's not expensive here by any means. So I think that those complaints are kind of minuscule in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of this experience as a whole. So don't let the prices of these meals deter you from taking an actual experience that many don't get to have. So for me personally, as speaking from someone who's very frugal, I don't think that these cafes or restaurants that they stop at along the tour were expensive at all. I think maybe the only thing that was expensive is water. And on the tour, we learned that there are some parts of Morocco where water is limited, so it makes sense why the water bottles are so expensive. But to me, those were the only things that were expensive. It's like $10 for a meal. And I'm coming from New York, so a $10 meal is a steal for me. So I was happy, I wasn't complaining. So just note that when you start shopping around for tours, if that's something you want to do, don't let those comments deter you from booking the experience. But all in all, I had a really great experience. The food was awesome, the people were awesome, the experience itself was awesome. Literally, being in the Sahara Desert and being able to sleep in the Sahara Desert and watch the sunset, it was surreal. I posted photos on Instagram and people thought it was a green screen, people thought it was like a stock image, and people thought I edited it literally straight from the lens, didn't edit anything. That didn't even do the view justice. Like, if you could see with your actual eyeballs, it looked way better than any photo I could have taken. So if you are able to experience something like this, I highly recommend it, you guys. I highly recommend it. But anyways, the power has gone out like 15 times at this point, so I'm going to just turn everything off and go to bed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye! 'Cause I'm not just a pretty girl, I'm more than just a picture.